What is the relationship between the rat father and the lobster? The answer is similar to that of Tom and Jerry. The father rat is a genuine false Chia soft-shelled jar. Real soft fake duck tank animal. Lobster and Asia gang in different tombs. Among a large pile of seafood. The father mouse chose to log in. That's for sure. Just like when you buy a plane in Europe or America. I chose a Sikorsky S-76, which is just as strange. A probe from 300 million years ago. Using such attention, it appeared pit water-type subwood. It is the earliest known group of bamboo and wood species. Yes, the earliest bamboo worms were not flat like slanted boards. Instead, it adopts the form of a hooked lower tree with a foot, living in ancient shallow sea mudflats. For example, the bivalves of Protodiella baiji discovered in Luoping, Yunnan, one of the early water drainage strategists. The land is so beautiful. It has attracted countless heroes to bow down. Exploring the stone. These insects are coming one after another. The crazy era of registering land accounts. The Water Conservancy master chose the 100 rotten ones. However, during a certain detail, indoor pit water master, he happened to be visiting his relative's house, which was made of bamboo and wood. What a coincidence! When the water master saw, following the cool Eurasian structure of bamboo and wood, at a young age, he conceived a new idea, upholding the belief that I also want it. This is a fake Ha-10 version of a classic shrimp. Primitive feudal water treasury, Volat team pliers, with a large, technologically inferior, disintegrating buttocks, continue to wander on the seabed. And what was the result? She was beaten to a pulp by the more advanced grandmother SI. The Water Conservancy expert truly lived up to his reputation. He screwed himself up badly. The current Water Conservancy master. Caves that are only found in India. There is also the Education Network region. Freshwater Shillene State, Australia. Continuing to eke out a living in this world with the body of version 10. However, some species did notice and react. But by then it was already the season of white calamity. The dinosaurs had grown to weigh tens of tons. They even started to look up at the sky. Split breeding and playing on land are also fun. Go back to bathing in the sea. Pitwater silk that failed to capitalize on version benefits. Even today, there are still terrestrial species of rats in the Hokung water. They use their talons to dig tunnels on the surface to survive. Although, Zongxing inexplicably resembles a centipede in a Heisen painting. But what about them? It can only point to private forests in Australia. The tomb of Chao Chongya, another main force of the Jimu army. A large number of advanced equipment have already been developed, becoming the most successful terrestrial pseudomorph. Whether by the sea or in the desert, we can find Chao Chong's figure everywhere. Although it is a bottom garbage island, living on the land with the face of a god. Want to become a strong person? It's simply amazing. Like a wild idea. But Chao Chong possessed an indomitable spirit. Many other Nangxia were made. Things that cannot be accomplished. Nesting worms utilize the indentations of their replicating outer silks. Research. The exhaust pipe structure has a complex network of features. Compared to the support provided by the aquatic music group, the exhaust pipe allows the nest beetle to breathe air easily. In addition to this, the legs of the chow insect also have a water guiding system. Through these capillary structures, Chao Chong could then drink the water while standing. They also thicken the stratum corneum, improve jawline. Its metabolic products, excreted from the body in solid form. More water saving. Some types of chow insects have developed the ability to curl. The evolution of curling has multiple origins. Woodlice that can curl. They are located in 18 pits that are neither near nor far from the knee. For example, the performance of over the knee, Insecta, insectid genus, and the genus Sulphurus of the family Sulphuridae. They all have the ability to curl up their bodies. This helps them reduce water loss. Incidentally with the enemy, in order to confuse and defend against natural enemies. Many insect species have developed various types of bald thorns. Steel hair disguised as bird droppings and plants. For example, anal hair growing on a bald person. Cirrus genus disguised as dust. Caraman squirrels at Bald Thorn Airport. To defend against natural enemies. The nest beetle will not be able to use its tail limbs for swimming. Transformed into a life-saving tool. For example, in the sea wolf rat, the tail limbs serve a similar function to a gecko's tail. When the enemy grabs its tail limbs, the sea wolf will quickly sever its tail limbs. He jumped into the sea with such force that it was impossible to catch him off guard. Original paint pipe. In most species with well-developed outer tails, the leaf-like line at the end of the outer suffix, it can secrete a viscous liquid with a slight odor. They can make things like spiders. Centipedes and other natural enemies are slow to move. Excitability greatly reduced. The half-crippled chow chong genus and the half-crippled chow chong subgenus. It has unique subsocial behavior. They dug pipes in the desert, living in the cool underground part. The first few body parts of the male. It will grow sharp spikes. What are their functions? It's like being a doorman, responsible for using their heads to block the cave entrance. Like fox pseudolarvae, when there is a natural enemy, or when outsiders want to enter the cave, they would headbutt them and send them flying. If the outsiders still refuse to give up, gatekeeper, they may retaliate by biting. If members of the group wanted to enter the cave, they communicate with the gatekeeper using their antennae. After verifying the verification code, you can go home. In fact, chow chong, who was half-crippled, was the biggest natural enemy of the subgenus. This is another category of chow chong, who is essentially crippled.
Montag chow chong subgenus.
These guys don't dig holes, but due to its enormous size, frequently sees half-crippled, overweight, and other species caves. In Central Asia, a semi-disabled, overweight hoisting machine. There is usually another type of underweight condition. What about these two brothers? It's like white hands and white thorns are intertwined. It's really ugly. The presence of worms in blood B is also present. For example, members of the genus Bacillus live in ant nests. For example, the nest beetle of the Titanidae family lives in the nest of giant termites. In addition, the presence of the worm, Cyprinus spp, is also found in the cave biota, the family of nematodes living in the caves of the senior high school. It is the highest altitude type of chair that produces saliva. Looking back, chow chong had sea camphor rats living by the sea, and the half-dead insects and rats living in the desert. But during the chow chong landing process, the freshwater stage was not involved at all. So chow chong decided to take a gamble. A group of insects in the family Cassidy, collectively known as Max carried, successfully bid for underground water in the cave. For example, burrowing insects and oily nesting insects. In Asia and South America independently oxidized too. Aquatic species in caves. Some of them abandoned their terrestrial habits. Instead, they gradually stepped into the realm of freshwater. I have already seen all the amazing forests. At this time, they were competing with beige. Speaking of freshwater groups, you may often see similar small insects in the grass, crawling in streams or stinking ditches. Then you may have seen it. Members of Jishui Temple. Jishui Temple AIM. It is also a very rich group. Species of the superfamily Jishui Temple and the superfamily as Haishui Temple. Almost all of them are rivers and species in cave groundwater. A single leaf lies nestled amidst the earth and blossoms. Although the water control engineers did not set foot on land, waterfall also deliberately retained their original flavor. But where is it inhaling? But it offers a unique industrial lifestyle. Narrowwater species in North Korean river diving and waterlogged seed family, always transforming into a social butterfly. living in a variety of bio-friendly environments, and take stone fragments from them. For example, the number of water stones in the Sakishi. They were all placed on the same bamboo and wood, along with a stone basin. Yama stone. The coexistence of water and secular life with sponges. And release the sponge. Sponge toxins to protect itself. It seems to be a group of water stoppers in the deep sea. It's simply not in the same league as what was mentioned earlier. The Deep Sea Navy almost. All were under the jurisdiction of the Sekisui Army General Department. Just from their names, you can tell these guys are something else. For example, wood and stone. Members of the waterstone family. Swimming is not the same as the previous method, but you can use the copied swimming technique. Instead, it plagiarized the last pair of pearls from the swimming crab. On various rattan pillars, the last 3 pairs of beads were transformed into certificates of merit. If you want to swim in the deep sea, after the body was turned upside down, the 3 teams did not have enough certificates. A splash of cold. It can take off in a very strange posture. For those benefactors who spew hot smoke and inhale black smoke. A small, inspiring dream. Besides, Moose Navy's 2nd to 4th pairs of cloth feet, specialized into incredibly long and thin spider legs. 2nd pair of antennae, and it is specially designed to resemble legs. In addition, their torsos have an exceptionally high rate of healing, similar to the small, stewed dishes. 1st pair of cloth feet, just like the underwater version of blind beads. I'm afraid the sea spider would mistake him for a relative if it saw him. Calling out to all the aunts and uncles. The family Cyprinidae found the 4-legged, 5-limbed worm of the Muscicapitae family awkward. It disappeared into the sea mud. Take the giant worm as an example. The accumulation of knowledge and experience has resulted in a solid and sharp foundation. They feed on foraminifera found in sea mud. You should know. Oil foraminifera. They are giant cells with somewhat sturdy shells. If you want to eat theirs, you have to bring your own walnut crackers. Interesting. Metallica is named after the band Metallica. This is truly a case of hard music paired with hard food. With walnut crackers. After stewing with sea mud, how can we then return to the surface mechanism? So the bamboo worm opened the local collagen website. Only shrimp and other cystidia were observed. It has a gravity receptor called the sacrum. Nalic waited for a year in the bamboo and wood bones. It appeared again in Mizuki's mind. I also want to. Giant worm. They developed their own balancing bladders made of bamboo and wood. Gold miners who became the base. Other deep-sea naval forces. The garden was already full both above and below ground. Other species, led by the venomous superbug. They became scavengers of surface sediments. The ventral section of the naval commander, except for the first. The second section is completely healed. This forms a highly efficient breathing chamber. The male's second abdominal position has a large amount of juice, covering the entire abdominal segment. The cartilage grows on the inner end of the original juice. Such an enormous first abdominal limb. This made the water management master a giant egg in the eyes of the world.
Superman.
Magnetic self-water silk. No first copy. Originally, the second person was responsible for the existence of the past. After basic fusion, a large thin sheet was formed, although the abdomen of the hydronephrosis device is not suitable for swimming. But in terms of reproduction and respiration, compared with other aquatic species, however, it has a great advantage. When the breeding season arrives, males of some water management species, they will take advantage of the shortcomings of the developed back 3 teams. The first pair of Eurasian-shaped feet clamped the female tightly, as a protector of flowers, to prevent my wife from being stolen away by someone else. In between, the female has no choice but to carry her husband forward. Such acts of mutual stabbing are attracting attention. Very common. We'll discuss this later. Actually, what about groups closely related to self-watering chambers? It's also very strange. For example, there is a type of nut known as the smallest equal nut. Little feet water is Yamu. Its members are only about 300 micrometers in size. They live in both seawater and freshwater habitats. Freshwater engineers who survive entirely in Australian groundwater. They are all nearsighted. It has little technological content, unaffected by any purification or pollution. There is a kind of pure enzyme, and only remaining in the Calab River in South America and caves in Brazil. Ka River water quality subwood. Some scholars speculate they originated from the same terrestrial ancestor.
Evolved.
Suborders of the navel group and the navel group of the calcareous group. They are a pair of flourishing sister flowers. They share many ecological niches. As the name suggests, the naval force is capable of course, the navy that turned into a cluster. Not all naval units that can roll are naval units. Not all naval units will be involved. The name Geysischuescher is easy to understand. Their final words in the dialogue are in single-word form. The tail bead is stretched and widened. Then, like a pair of door panels overlapping, the number 1 is covered. In addition to the breech and tail sections. Healing at all levels. A double-door refrigerator is now complete. Mutual assassination between the Tuan Navy and the Guy Navy. Very common.
Compared to the Navy.
They have a stronger sense of protecting flowers. Normally, it's the male that's aggressive and the female that runs away. Females hardly need to walk. During group trials, most of the species in the family were lawyer-type species. The group review, with the largest number of species, featuring a specialized crocodile and a replica covered in steel bristles. What about the end of the crisis? There are water inlets of various shapes, like the Dagestro worm. His water inlet is a new type. Water droplets on the lid. There are also a large number of green groups in it. For example, species during the moment of big feet covering water. The last 3 internal beads are used to solidify the body. The first 4 pairs of special cloth feet. And its antennae are covered with dense, long steel hairs. Their role is by no means negligible. These greenstone-like caps are filamentous. It will show its broad-mindedness to the flowing water. Actually, most lawyers have calcium and water retention. Like the neighbor's worm, it is an air groove. Even if physical fitness is poor, you can get a job just by being thick-skinned. Every now and then, lawyer-related calcium and water retention will lead to insufficient food intake. Debris on the second antennae, repeating the cycle. Actually, gas water is a type of wood. They also act as pollinators in the ocean. But there are no flowers in the sea. How could it spread pollen? Let's turn our attention to the symbiotic object of the lid navy, macroalgae. In a SAS 7 issue 2 years ago, Bluey the seaman. It was discovered to be fine. Geomlipius disseminator. Actually, many of the Cape naval vessels are associated with large algae. For example, sargassum. On the one hand, they help these algae spread their configuration. On the other hand, they also gain shelter and food. What are some of the different groups of diners from Tuayuan? It also coexists with large-scale, mine-breaking operations. For example, the Feng Shui Master's Office. They expanded their reach and gathered. In order to increase the area of Fuzhou, he looked rather unfriendly. Among them, the narrow and long water-viewing silk. It grew another one, a long, thin body similar to Geiger's silk. Now, those dark circles under my eyes are a tribute from my peers.
But
calcium-rich hydrofilaments have a much stronger swimming ability than peach blossom stones. Therefore, it is more suitable as a pure cotton product. Water storage benefits the local area. The regimental navy saw that this path was blocked. The green garden of jealousy burned in his heart. Several species of the genus Tetra, hiring symbiotic bacteria in Tibet. This provided the basis for their erosion of mangroves. The enzymes synthesized by these bacteria It can effectively decompose lignin. Drilling holes in mangroves. For the dream-building water swallower. Provided safe law-firm premises and food. They took the same path as the ship district. For example, oil holes. Tuan Shueisher. It is a key target of mangrove biohouses. They rarely leave the tube nests in the mangroves throughout their lives. If you often see, on the red trees covered in floating snow, some of the holes in the pen barrel are quite impressive. Perhaps that means the ship area or the naval force is in the cave. But when it comes to attracting attention, it must be the water-focused department of the Naval Academy. They truly deserve to be called termites in the Halion, a network of organizations. If you are on a piece of wood, a striking water stone was discovered. Presumably, the inside of this piece of wood, with countless eye-catching water threads. The Navy's size is quite small. Moreover, they reproduce quickly. Like the team members, they also drill holes in the wood. Only, the enzymes used by the Navy were synthesized by themselves, and the pipeline reached is longer. The water is where it is distributed. The wooden bridge piers and boats are easily noticeable. Openwork jewelry. Suddenly, I knew. Most species of the family Lycopodidae, choosing to live Shanghai near the circle. For example, the family Gypsum fasciatum and the family Gypsum fasciatum. They are all very peculiar species. The white waterstone family is the smallest type. The body length is usually only a few millimeters. The distinctive feature is the rear of the body. It has a tail segment and tail limbs. Together, they formed a cone-shaped vent. This vent helps seawater flow in. For those green seaborne flat-shelled oil beetles, provided food source, flatwater lithops. Just like the spiritual inheritors of contemporary mountain insects, some species have similar characteristics to the clean-eyed worm. The extremely precise structure of the lunar corrosive eye. In the calcium-rich water-pressed tomb, next door. Distribution range of polar species. More extensive than Tuanshan type Yamu. Brittle stone carving is a specialized category of polar primers. They have a presence in the Arctic and Antarctic. The seasoners in Antarctica are enormous. Not to mention the thickness of the stack. 7-mile-long legs are also very stylish. Netizens jokingly referred to it as spiritual satisfaction. Giant turtle rat. The first tribe of the Asian Austrian type was extremely large. Color illusion in New Zealand and southern South America. He is a true guardian of the land. The hairy spotted rat and the Augai rat near the Arctic Circle. Also a highly adaptable individual with a keen sense of detail. You can tell from their elegant swimming style. Although the infectious doctor and the lid water silk both can utilize copying and movement, but when it comes to gradually reaching the ceiling of mobility, it still has to be a shrink-head water silk pressed wood. If we compare this monstrous, dead pig-like creature, the blue crab, to a giant. So, the waterstone science. Enough to be featured as a member of the Ackerman family. The drifting water threads are made of a series of constricted water threads. From the common tiny number of post-floating water fibers, to the vast deep-sea events. Waves drift and float in various bodies of water. Extremely fast speed and a sharp ruler thickness. Successfully turned into a bamboo worm eating hot pot. They emerged with the tide. Animals many times larger than them. They will all become their targets, including fish, the joints of shrimp and crab, various corpses, and human feet. The species depicted in the Wuwei waterstone carvings have degenerated. Its own tail posture. It looks a bit like a chicken leg. All of their abdominal postures have a respiratory function. A design that allows for freedom in the deep sea is absolutely essential. Too much about their life history. There is still a gap. In the current viewing records, when the Pacific Ocean was found to be warm water 5. Long-term life on the inner side of the wave jellyfish. Aside from the serious shrinking of the naval superscience, Hanachi Water Style Ultra. It is also a group of shrinking water masters. Conversely to calcium-rich water, Their outer tail characters fold upwards. This forms a unique shape for the last character of the character. Most species of the family Lycolithidae were transformed into lycoliths. They have already started living in caves. They were like tube worms and crippled female worms. Use the mucus to collect surrounding debris and sand. Make into pipes. He hides inside to sleep during the day. They come out to forage at night. They live by hunting small animals. The breath also has a stimulating structure similar to a syringe. Great evil degeneration. Two groups of minor evils and malice make up a Jerry's party. Some of the first tribes that transformed into naval forces. Also known as Eurasian. This helps them catch smaller prey. The spawn of the aquatic mastiff only has one species. That is, the flying feather sawtooth navy. Their third and fourth tribes were flat, very suitable for burying sand. This point has led to the formulation of 10 Chinese remnants. Although the front, we have already introduced many strange, herding groups. But what truly qualifies as a reversal of the trend? It has to be a member of the parasitic Asian shepherd. Parasite navy. As expected, it has a unique growth cycle. Newborn parasitic navy, known as the junior technician stage. Inheritance at this stage. The navy will search for the Rao clan. As an intermediate array of birth control devices. Body surface. This process becomes the minor tidal phase. After the bottom is reached, the tide-inducing phase begins. Start looking for medium speed. Finally, it matured in the medium speed mode. What about the members of Parasitic Immuna? They are all highly specialized forms of male-female differentiation. A step deeper than shrinking water threads. Females are usually larger than males. The male usually lives on the female's abdomen. The sieve silk superfamily primarily targets herbivores, a crab species from the family Crinidae and most other Crinidae, parasitic in the bronchi of technology. Sesqu's zombie genus is even more packed in, parasitic in the host's internal organs. Several types of Seth, taking true deputy Shirsiako as an example. Parasites living in the abdomen of ancestral worship. Nate Sao Chonga. Although he was relatively well-behaved, he was parasitic within the gun-snatching system. But the body had long since changed shape. To put it nicely, it's like angel wings. To put it bluntly, it's like slicing pig ears with a knife. Competing with Fish Master Friend from the neighboring Chisel Clan team. But there are even more insane matches. Although the Chow insect family is backed by the Chow insect. But the species is by no means cute. The juveniles are kind of cute. Food and beverage customers also have a full range of business objectives. Its precise timing is that of the surface parasite, often appearing, added to the cephalothorax or the second horn of the crab. It looks like an omelet. If it's a type that grows on the head, it also has a bit of a beret feel to it. Half-nest insect guests. It is a parasite of crab slaves. You should know that crab slaves are parasites. They are related to Fujiko, a clump of parasitic grasshoppers. Anyone who didn't know better would think it was a clone of the hunter. I looked at the crab, and then at my own belly. The Shura factory, infested with such a parasite. You must have mixed feelings. Water scooter is even more of a class. Most species are parasites. Among other types of pre-egg bands. This also includes other inherited water silk.
For example,
Bamboo hook-eating mice like to parasitize on twide hook-shaped shrimp, and the insects and rodents that were separating the grass at the moment of water judgment. It also inherited the privacy of bamboo hooks to promote the diversity of dream chasing and the amount of material in this issue. This was just a minor sacrifice for the bamboo-hooked wild lion. Bamboo and wood mosquito repellent. It would take 3 days and 3 nights to finish telling the story. This group currently has only over 6,000 species. However, it takes on a wide variety of forms. It occupies a lot of ecological flavor both above and below water, although the bag is small. Promising future. the history of bamboo, and what is not very long. But they have never stopped innovating. Who knows how many tens of thousands of years later? What kind of brilliance will bamboo and would create next?
Alright, that's all for this video.
Although I had the idea of making a complete set of books a long time ago. However, domestic data is extremely scarce. Even abroad, many groups don't even have a single video. Thanks to Zeodus, the great guy from the Woodlice Corner. Strong support provided. Let bamboo and would be on the internet. It is also possible to have such a habitat. Don't forget to bookmark, like, and share. What if one day you see a strange little bug? Maybe he's the new bamboo worm hunter.